Hello everybody! Have you missed Little Land? I've missed doing Little Land. So I'm here back with ya for a super extra special Happy New Year. We're finally out of the heck that was 2020. Special surprise. Double edition of Little Land. Woo! I hope you had a lovely holiday season. And I apologize, sometimes you're going to be able to hear car noises and things in the background. We've moved to a place where I'm very, very close to a main road, and it's the only feasible place that I can film. So every now and again there might be a noise in the background. I hope they're not too distracting. Ethan sat his cup upon the desk and regarded the monitors. The television had been turned off slightly prior, the charges deposited into their cribs for the night. No sooner had he sat down, Ethan saw Piper stand and crane her neck over the bars. On another monitor, Mia laid Vanessa down, a dreamy expression on the small girl's face. Across the room, Emily attempted to lay blankets over a wriggling Aiden. Piper sat down atop her covers, presumably dissuaded from attempting whatever it was that she had intended to do. The other caretakers joined Ethan in drips and drabs. The doctor, punctual as usual, was the first to arrive. He was followed by his young ward, who prodded the doctor's back, a mischievous grin about his lips. "Go on, sir. Tell him. Michael. That is quite enough, said Dr. Gilbert, with the tone of a man with very little remaining patience. But it's so nice, said Mickey, letting himself flop into a nearby desk chair. Please, just tell him. Ethan looked on amusedly, electing to stay silent. When Mickey had a mind to misbehave, he made for compelling entertainment. Michael, if you don't tell him, I'm going to. One, began the doctor. Mickey paid no mind to the tone of warning in Dr. Gilbert's voice. So, we were putting the boys to bed tonight. 2, the doctor interjected. Don't interrupt, chided Mickey, and Ethan's brows near hid his hairline. He'd never seen Mickey dare misbehave to this degree. Dr. Gilbert's face remained impassive. Ethan retrieved his cup and busied himself with the contents. We put the boys to bed, and as Gil was leaning down... And 3, said Dr. Gilbert. His voice, stonily calm, carried above Mickey's. Michael, stop. I need my glasses. I'll be right back. Can you see my eyes, Daddy? I can't find them. But I found a lolly. Oh well. I'm just gonna squint. It was only then that Mickey seemed to realize exactly how far he'd gone. His face drained of color, and he shut his mouth. You've ruled yourself too juvenile to take part in tonight's meeting. You will get up, say goodnight to Ethan, and go to our room. You will wait in the corner until I return. Do you understand? Yes, sir, said Mickey, deflating. I've no idea what you hope to gain from that little show, Michael. By the time I come back tonight, I expect you'll be able to explain yourself to me. Mickey nodded and forced his eyes upward to address the doctor, who regarded him with firm and quiet reproach. Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Thank you, little boy, nodded Dr. Gilbert. You may go. Mickey rose and gave a very muted farewell to Ethan, who nodded into his cup, feeling a small pang of sympathy for the boy. Good night, Mickey. Sleep well. When Mickey had left, the doctor took a vacant chair and slid across to where Ethan sat, giving a sigh as he did so. That boy baffles me, said the doctor, shaking his head. He's just wanting a little attention, said Ethan, returning his long empty cup to the desk. He's earned that, and then some, said the doctor, darkly. Oh dear, who's earned what? Came Miss Emily's voice from down the passage. She poked her curly head through the door, an expression of concern upon her face. "Please tell me that nobody is climbing trees again." The doctor smiled tiredly in her direction, and she entered the room. "Our Mickey's in a mood," said Ethan, nodding towards Dr. Gilbert. "Oh dear," repeated Emily. "What for? What kind of mood?" she asked, taking a seat. "He's due for some attention," said the doctor, and Emily nodded sympathetically. "What have the boys done now?" asked Mia, striding into the room and sitting primly in the last available chair. She slid up to the screen that showed Frank and Danny's cubicles and peered at it critically. "Not the boys, the boy," said Ethan, gesturing towards the screen, and the doctor in turn. "Michael was in the mood to press buttons this evening, so I sent him to our room." "Mickey," sighed Mia, and the doctor waved a hand. "Seems Frank and Danny are the only ones to have behaved today," said Emily, which elicited sighs from the others in response. "Strangely enough, yes," said the doctor. "In fact, I have some news on that front." The others looked at him, interestedly. "When I put Daniel to bed this evening, he hugged me." "He what?" cried Emily in delight. "He hugged you?" "Yes, he did," nodded the doctor. "I leaned down to pull up his covers, and he reached up and he wrapped his arms around me." "Then what happened?" asked Mia, smiling encouragingly. "I embraced him for a few moments. When he pulled away and lay down, he mumbled that he just needed a hug." Small happy noises erupted from around the room. "That's the first time he's ever asked directly for comfort," said Dr. Gilbert, a slow smile spreading over his face. "I was very proud of him." "Seems he's settling in well," said Mia. "Have you seen any progress with Frank?" The doctor was silent for a moment, brows snapping together in concentration. "Francois is slightly more..." He paused, considering his phrasing. "Challenging," Dr. Gilbert sighed, leaning back in his chair. "He has trouble accepting direction. Doesn't seem like he's letting go of his adult responsibilities." The doctor glanced at the monitor showing Frank. He lay immobile in his crib, his blanket clutched tightly in his fists. Even with his eyes closed, he seemed to frown. Worry flickered across the doctor's face. "He's very quiet in the nursery," noted Emily. "He and Danny seem to get along, but he hasn't bonded with any of the others. Especially Piper," said Ethan. "That girl is a terror," he remarked fondly. "She's spirited," said the doctor. "Speaking of Piper and her spirit, we'll need to discuss today's events." Emily sighed deeply, and Mia reached out to comfort her colleague with a gentle pat on the hand. "I'm very glad that today is over and done with. If I never have to be that firm with Aiden again, it will be too soon." "How did he respond?" asked Mia. "Loudly," said Emily. "He was crying within 2 minutes." She shifted uncomfortably in her seat. "Emily," began Dr. Gilbert, but Emily continued. "I know, Gilbert, I promise, I know. He needed to learn a very strong lesson." Her brow creased with worry. "I just don't like teaching those kinds of lessons." The doctor nodded in curt sympathy. "I didn't relish my task today," he said, looking in Mia's direction. "Vanessa has a way of pulling on the heartstrings. Her little voice, how hard she tries to please, how she trembles," said Mia. "But after I heard what happened, I near forgot about all of that and hauled her away myself." "Safe to say we all almost did," said Ethan. "It was difficult letting the lad handle Piper, but after that I thought I had to let him have it." "Yes," said Mia, thoughtfully. "I came to the same conclusion. How was she, Gilbert? For the part that I didn't see." "Miss Vanessa has proven herself yet again. She was extremely brave." The doctor smiled to himself. and I was not gentle. She'd earned a very sincere spanking, the doctor said, to nods of agreement from the others in the room. And that is what she got. Afterwards, I believe she regressed entirely. Her voice got quiet and dreamy, and she clung to me. She was still like that when I woke her from her nap, said Mia, giving her hands a single clap. And after dinner she seemed very excited about the trip to the mountain. "Oh, yes, the trip!" cried Emily. "There's only a few days left to go. I can't wait to see their surprised faces." "I've a notion," said Ethan. What's that?" asked Mia. "So, it seems your Vanessa is doing very well in the immersion department," he began. "But still, she seems very shy socially. She's been trying, I can tell," said Mia, with just a touch of defensiveness in her voice. "We can all tell. The wee one's doing very well. She's just anxious. She needs a hand at times. That's the whole reason she's with us." "Now you're frank," said Ethan, now gesturing to Dr. Gilbert and to the screen, which showed Frank sitting upright in bed, his face tear-streaked. He appeared to be shouting. Ethan unmuted him briefly enough to catch the end of what appeared to be a fairly lengthy diatribe. Ethan hit mute. "Needs a hand with the regression part. And the social part." "I think I see where you're going with this," said Mia, slowly. "He's just anxious too. He won't let go of his responsibilities, and I'd say the lad's ashamed to be in his position. I say we seat them next to each other on the trip," said Ethan. "I think they could both use a friend." "I agree," said the doctor, sending a lock of his long black hair over one shoulder as he nodded. "I think they could really help each other." Chapter 2. "Vanessa." "Psst! Vanessa!" "What?" asked Vanessa. "Do you want to know a secret?" "You're going to get us in trouble," said Vanessa, with a marked tone of sulkiness as she cuddled Chip, the stuffed rabbit. Piper had woken her up. "No, I'm not. They're not paying attention." "You are quite literally saying the opposite of that on a daily basis," said Aiden, sitting up in his crib. "They're going to be doing a massive debrief today after the shenanigans. They'll have us muted. Just don't move around too much and we can say whatever we want," said Piper. "We could say swears, if we wanted to." "I don't think we should say swears. My bottom still hurts," mumbled Vanessa, rubbing her eyes with the back of her hand. "You had a golden opportunity to say a swear right there, to work it in organically, and you didn't take it. Unbelievable." "Mine does too," said Aiden, looking around at the ceiling. Here he switched to his quietest register. "Ass." Piper hooted with glee at Aiden's extremely timid profanity. "Mine does too. Doesn't that prove my point, though?" asked Piper. "I'm so sure that they aren't listening to us tonight that I'm willing to risk more of this." She gestured to her diapered bottom, which was undoubtedly still blushing a dusky pink and very sore. "The safest time to talk candidly is after something big naughty happens. They're busy." Okay, said Vanessa, throwing up her hands. "What's your flipping secret?" "Good job, Vanessa, that was almost a swear," said Piper. "What's the secret, Piper?" came Danny's voice. Said Piper, wagging her finger. "I'm not telling any of you until you say a swear." Danny snorted, Aiden giggled, Vanessa groaned, and Frank remained silent. "I already said one," said Aiden. "It's debatable if arse even qualifies as a swear, Dennis." "Arse is a swear," insisted Aiden. Said Piper. "Vanessa, ruling?" Before Vanessa could answer, Danny spoke up. "If it's in the Bible, it isn't a swear." Vanessa giggled softly. "I think it counts," she said. "If I would have said that when I was a kid, I would have had to eat soap." "Okay, it counts," said Piper. "You don't need to do any more swearing. Danny, say a swear." "Dicks," said Danny, emphatically. Now tell me a secret. Not yet, Vanessa needs to go, and Francois. Fart, said Vanessa. No, fart is not a swear word, cried Aiden. Fine, okay, crap. That definitely counts, said Piper. Francois, do you have a better swear? How about fuck? As in shut the fuck up, Piper, came Frank's frosty reply. Whoa, that's just unnecessary, said Piper. Everything you say is unnecessary, Piper. You never shut your mouth. At least I'm making friends. You never talk to anyone. Maybe if you talk to us, you'd want to be friends. I don't want friends. I want to get through the next 20 days, I want to go home, and I want you to leave me alone. Towards the end of his sentence, Frank's voice began to crack. Frank, I'm sorry. I just wanted to tell you the secret. I don't care about any secret, Frank shouted. I want to be at home, in my own bed, and not sleeping in a fucking diaper. Whoa, said Piper. Don't you whoa me. You like it here. I don't, yelled Frank. He leaned out of his crib and angrily slapped on his nightlight. Wait, what are you doing? Asked Piper, sitting up. Put your light out. They'll see it. Exactly. Maybe if I tell them, then you'll be taken away somewhere else and I can get some fucking sleep. Language, young man, came a baritone voice from down the passage. Talk to Piper about language. She was swearing not 2 minutes ago. Frank! Cried Piper, leaping to her feet. She said she had a secret and she wouldn't tell us what it was unless we said a swear. Dr. Gilbert slowly turned his head towards Piper. She wilted in his gaze and sat down very slowly. I'd have thought you'd know better than that, miss. I thought you wouldn't be listening. I thought you'd be busy. Piper was correct. The caregivers had been busy, but were finely tuned to monitor the activities of their charges. They'd known conversation was taking place. Lips could clearly be seen moving on the cameras. The particulars of the conversation weren't important, provided they weren't doing anything dangerous. Is that an excuse? Asked Dr. Gilbert, tilting his head. No, I mean, yes, stammered Piper. What you don't hear can't hurt you? You know very well that isn't an excuse. You and I will be talking very soon, little one. Take her now, Frank scoffed in a hushed tone. What's that now? Asked the doctor, turning at once to face Frank's cubicle. Nothing, was the sullen reply. I'm not a fan of lies, young man, said Dr. Gilbert, striding to Frank's cribside. What did you say? I said take her now. She never stops talking and I'm trying to get some fucking sleep. Frank, not seeming to register who he'd spoken to in such a manner, burst into angry tears and flopped onto his stomach. Overtired, frightened, and frustrated, Francois gave in to the growing storm of emotions in his brain. Francois was having a tantrum. Dr. Gilbert paused for a moment and allowed the boy a moment's respite before lifting him from the crib and holding him close. Frank resisted, beating ineffectually at the doctor's back with closed fists. Francois, I understand that you're frustrated, but hitting is not acceptable. Stop it. Right now, thank you. Frank's fists unfurled, and he instead took up great handfuls of the doctor's lab coat. He buried his face into Dr. Gilbert's shirt, his hot tears quickly soaking the material. Good boy, said the doctor, rubbing gentle circles around the boy's back. Piper, Vanessa, Aiden, and Daniel, said Dr. Gilbert. I would like you to go to sleep now, please. I'll be speaking to you in the morning. And Piper, if the secret you have to tell is what I think it is, I would think about the fate of my rear and any future activities we might be doing and reconsider telling it. Yes, Dr. Gilbert, sir, mumbled Piper. Good girl. Covers now, all of you. I stopped to get an ice block. The doctor leaned into Frank's cubicle and placed his remaining free hand on the switch. Everyone close your eyes, please, he said, and the little ones obeyed immediately. Eyes closed? He asked. A chorus of mumbled yeses came from around the room. Against his chest, he felt Frank nodding through his tears. Nice and tight? Yes, said Vanessa softly. Uh-huh, said Aiden, nodding. Yep, said Danny. Yes, sir, said Piper. Once more, Frank nodded against him. Super tight? Vanessa giggled quietly, and Aiden also gave a titter. 4 more yeses. Okay. Lights off in 3, 2, 1. Lights off. On, off. Dr. Gilbert switched out Frank's nightlight, darkening the room significantly. Good night, little ones. Good night, Dr. Gilbert, each little one called in succession. The doctor left the room, a sniffling Frank in his arms. I'm sorry, you guys. I went too far, whispered Piper, after a moment's pause. I thought it was a fun game, but it wasn't. I won't do it again. It's okay, whispered Vanessa. Yeah, it's okay, said Danny. But you gotta lay off Frank, Piper. He's not doing so well. I know you were trying to be friendly, but to him, you're kind of being a bully. I know, said Piper. I'm gonna find a way to tell him I'm sorry. That's the end of the first 2 chapters of Little Land. Part 2, rather. You've already had the first 2. You've had the first 15 chapters. Any hoobles, oozles, anywho, I hope you guys enjoyed yourself. Sorry, I'm really distracted because this ice block is very delicious. It's so sour. It's sour and pineapple-y. The schedule for Little Land might be a little bit wonky for a while. I've just started a new job, so I'm not super rich in terms of free time, but I'm gonna give it my best shot. There's lots and lots of diaper reviews in the pipeline. I have a huge order from Littles Down Under coming soon, so I can do an unboxing video. And some of you might have seen on Instagram, for Christmas, I got a trike, and I'm obsessed with it. It is so much fun. Here's a picture of it. Here's what it looks like. I'm gonna paint it and put stickers on it and give it tassels. And it has a big basket on the back so I can carry things around with me. It's gonna be so fun. I'm gonna have so many picnics. And I wanna get like a GoPro mount for the front of it so I can take you with me when I go for a ride. I think that sounds very fun and I'm very excited about doing that. Yeah. Like I said before, I hope you all had a really lovely holiday season. I hope you had some nice time off and at least a little bit of a chance to rest and recoup after this year. I'm very proud of all of you for getting through 2020. It was not easy for anybody basically, and I'm really, really proud of you. You did it. Nice job. I will see you guys very, very soon in my next video. I love you all very much. Bye everybody.